What up, everybody? This is Vincent Tung, the Wandering Warrior. And last week I had a great time. We had this folk wrestling exchange, Shuai Jiao, Mongol Bokh, and Sumo. So, anyways, let's get right into it. So today's agenda is the same. And you can open up the lead foot as you do that. So as I step out, I'm going to open this up. So it opens up my hip to get more rotation. More rotation. More rotation. If I only rotate, you want to go so far. If he's a lot bigger than me, it might not be enough. I'm going to also lean and turn. Right? So I'm here. I'm going to come in. I'm going to this whole. Now, for a little bit of context there, the man built like a tank, dark skin. That's JJ. He's a coach in his own right. He's a lifelong judoka. He's a jiu-jitero, BJJ. He's also number 1 or 2 in sumo in the USA. I'm not too sure on the details, but he's a great grappler, very experienced. Him and I met in San Diego late last year when me and Lavelle Marshall were touring and we were teaching or showcasing the art of Shuai Jiao, the Mongol way. And in San Diego, at HONU Sumo, HONU Judo, HONU Jiu-Jitsu, JJ was hosting us and seemed like a great guy. And he seemed like he was having a great time with Shuai Jiao and Mongol Bokh. So come this year, hit me up and he said, hey, I'm bringing a couple people, hitting you guys up. We're going to do some training. And I'm like, hell yeah, let's do this. So I took them through 3 days of textbook Shuai Jiao, starting with Jibengong, or fundamental exercises, getting their bodies used to turning and twisting and moving in certain ways, starting to get certain grips, what to do with such grips, feeling the tensioning, feeling the pressure, when to let off, when not to let off, movements, especially circular and spiraling movements, and finally ending with throws. The emphasis here was not on throws necessarily, but on having them feel out the uniqueness and be able to appreciate the finer points of Shuai Jiao, or Chinese wrestling. And as you guys know, who have been digging into it, or at least following my channel, what we know today is that jacket wrestling art of Shuai Jiao is actually descended from Bokh, Mongol Bokh, Mongol wrestling. It could be called an offshoot, but it has been adopted by the Chinese government as a national sport and is today known as Chinese wrestling. Given the fact that I actually started committing to the art of Shuai Jiao, or Shuai Jiao in 2020, not that long ago if you think about it, I'm truly grateful that these guys, Tristan, Nancy, and JJ, entrusted their Shuai Jiao immersion experience to me. Um, really thankful for that. Really makes me reflect and take a moment to be proud of what I've done with myself. Um, that's absolutely true. These guys are all martial artists in their own right. You'll see Tristan there as an MMA fighter, also has a good Muay Thai background. Nancy, his wife, also student of JJ, she's a judoka, and she's also spread herself out into various grappling arts and found success there as well. JJ, I mentioned earlier, sumo, judo, BJJ, and so on. We have Meng joining us there in the sparring. He is a Sanda coach, and he has fought in Sanda, as well as Max, who comes from a Jingwu background. If you guys know about Kung Fu, Jingwu Athletic Association, he's done his time in Sanda, as well as Olympic and powerlifting. So, interesting group here. A lot of good vibes, a lot of strong spirits, and it was a great time. body to a hand. Yeah. Unless you don't want your body to go. Yeah.
It'll be mostly holding the really big pads and kicks, but sometimes holding the other down to something else. So there is, I mean, there's like, I don't know focus, but definitely there won't be any head strikes or.
Once I feel max tension, I'm gonna pop my hips back. Now what you do.
Yeah, that's the one I wanted to do.
Put your hook.
Into the
For me, it's always an interesting balance, trying to make sure that I accommodate to individual needs, goals, and trajectories, as well as an overarching curriculum or plan or agenda, right? So, as I take these guys through these 3 days of fundamentals, drilling, games, sparring, and so on, I try to make sure that I'm able to give everyone time to assess and address their personal needs, the things that they're struggling with, but also bring everyone through the same experience, right? Every time we look at one object, one thing, one skill, we're going to come at it from our own perspective. There's going to be a lot of overlap. And if you're in reality at all, we're probably looking at the same thing, but you're going to be looking at it from different angles. Some people are naturally more kinesthetic. Some people are very visual. Some people take a lot of cues internally. Some people look at a lot of external cues. I try to touch on all of that. And I believe I did a pretty good job. For myself, when I train, I try to make sure I have maximum intentionality. I go into every drill, practice, or sparring, even in this case where I'm facilitating a training session, I'm going into my own stuff with a certain focus and intention. Maybe I'm working on things I'm not good at. Maybe I'm polishing a setup. Maybe I'm polishing a body mechanic. Maybe I'm polishing a certain mindset, a certain awareness. Doesn't matter. I need to be working on something every single time. And I ask that of the people I'm working with. And these guys, they are right on board. They are right on the same wavelength.
The
And it
idea
was
was
awesome to see.
you're like this, right? And then you've got this metal breastplate in the front. So someone comes along with a lance, a saber, an arrow, boom, boom, you know, right? And then the legend is that they'll flip their armor around, wear it backwards, wrestle. That's not accurate. Just because you look at the actual armor, that's not how it works. But I think the jacket design was inspired by the armor that they wear. And the Inner Mongolian style, or at least the one from the region that we're talking about, they call it the Chedic style, which is soldier style. So it's they consider it it's part of the whole no leg grabbing thing. It's like it's upright, it's soldier style. We're gonna stay standing. Someone falls.
Now, on the fourth day, I took these three San Diego folk used to much milder, more agreeable weather outside to enjoy Mongolian wrestling, Mongol Bokh, out in New England's wintry wonderland. It was a great time. It was a great time. Uh, Obviously, I'm not an expert in Mongolian wrestling. I did not pretend to be an instructor whatsoever, but I was sharing my experiences, giving them some of the basics, and helping them understand the mentality and the spirit behind this venerable and powerful wrestling art. And they can tell you, wrestling outside in the snow on uneven terrain uh, changes things. It definitely changes things.
Don't go there. I'm sure we have winters. Like, is everything fit so loosely? It smells like going inside. No, it's everywhere. I thought it was in our
Now, for me personally, my favorite sparring session that day was with Coach JJ of HONU Sumo / HONU Jiu Jitsu, HONU Judo. That should come as no surprise. He might not be extremely well versed in Shuai Jiao or Mongol Bokh, but he is a lifelong grappler, and his experience is deep and it shows. Uh, Sparring with him, I noticed that every, as he puts it, micro battle, every step of the way, he was fighting for better positioning, gaining advantages, and taking away mine. And while he did not always have the technically better answer than me, as far as, having been through learning the techniques of an art, so to speak, uh, the mind, the spirit, the tactics, the usage of the body, he has a lot of good stuff, right? And so for me, this was an exciting and fun matchup. And of course, he outweighs me. So for me, it's like, oh, I really gotta stay on point here. There's a lot of different things that he can bring to bear. I gotta stay on point. But you'll see at the end, he got me, and it taught me a little something, and I'm pretty happy about that. For me, competition is one thing, self-defense or combat is one thing, training is another. Yes, we are simulating things, but training is where I get to fall. Training is where I get to fail. But when push come to shove, you need to win, right? And so this is where I can get a lot of stuff ironed out, and I was really happy to spar with him. It was awesome. If you guys have made it this far in the video, you better have liked, shared, and subscribed. Make sure you comment down below on your thoughts on Shuai Jiao and Mongol Bokh. Up next, day 5, we switch roles, and Coach JJ is introducing us to Sumo, Japanese wrestling, and taking us through a session of Keiko, their practice. Now, if you know my journey well, you know that early on when I was young, I used to watch sumo with my akong, my grandfather. Yes, Taiwan was colonized by Japan for 50 years, so yes, we have a lot of Japanese stuff, and being fans of sumo is one of it. I like sumo quite a bit. I've always wanted to try it, and this was my golden opportunity, right? This is my first time doing sumo. Also, this is something of value to me in another way. I do Taizu Chuan, this Kun Pao style, Kung Fu style from Taiwan, and at its roots, it was practiced alongside Chinese wrestling, Chinese Xiangpu. And Xiangpu is essentially the Chinese version of sumo. Unfortunately, it is now extinct, but guess what? The Japanese version is not. It's thriving. And last Sunday, I got to try sumo for the first time, and I had a blast.
Over the overhook side.
I like really.
Woo!
The inside and then you go.
And I'll call it. Right. Just for ritual purposes, going to Sankyo. Come on, Ted. Stand up. Chest to Ted. Down. Hakyo! Nakota, nakota. Nakota, nakota. Nakota, nakota. Shota. Shogata. Right? Vincent Lukash.
And then Vincent, you would squat and do this.
We're just adding extra things in, sorry. Tristan.
Okay. Monsieur. Hackett.
Oh, wow.
That was so elegant from both of you. Monsieur. Hackett. Monsieur. Hackett.
Double unders.
Whoop, whoop. Ooh.
Oh. Monsieur. Hackett.
Mm. Oh.
Monsieur. Hackett.
Ooh, Uchimuso. Good.
Wait.
Oh, you didn't get up cool?
Hakyo. She got that.
Monsieur. Hackett.
Good shot.
Oh.
Monsieur. Hackett.
Woo!
Monsieur. Hackett.
Mm. Be aware of your surroundings. Foot sweeps, Vincent. Good.
So I did pretty good. It was a great time, and you know what? Your boy might start training and competing in sumo. We'll see. So hopefully you guys have watched all the way to the end. If you have, thank you for joining me on my journey. I salute yours. Peace.